In an era where economic power struggles and shifting geopolitical alliances define global diplomacy, the recent EU-China summit in Beijing became a mirror reflecting these mounting tensions. Rather than celebrating 50 years of formal relations, the event highlighted deep divisions over trade imbalances, China's ambiguous stance on Russia's war in Ukraine, and the EU's growing demand for strategic reciprocity. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen didn't hold back, openly declaring that the EU-China relationship has reached a critical inflection point. According to Politico Europe, she urged Beijing to correct the growing disparity in market access and trade conditions, warning that Europe is no longer willing to remain passive in the face of structural imbalances and strategic dependencies on Chinese goods, especially in the green energy and electric vehicle sectors. President Xi Jinping responded sharply, signaling Beijing's disapproval of what it sees as European protectionism and interference. He warned that any push toward decoupling or the imposition of tariffs would backfire, increasing global fragmentation and instability. She positioned China and the EU as two global powers responsible for maintaining international equilibrium. But the rhetoric failed to mask Beijing's unwillingness to compromise on issues like subsidies, cybersecurity concerns, or its opaque stance on the Ukraine war. As Reuters reported, European leaders, including Council President Antonio Costa, directly called on Xi to leverage his influence with Moscow to help halt the conflict, framing it as both a moral obligation and a litmus test of China's commitment to international norms. Yet she avoided direct condemnation of Russia, signaling a persistent alignment with Moscow's worldview and a rejection of Western narratives. The summit also came amid fresh EU sanctions targeting two Chinese banks over allegations of facilitating Russian trade, prompting a fierce backlash from Beijing, which labeled the move unjustified and provocative, as noted by The Guardian. The punitive action only added to the diplomatic frost, reinforcing Europe's concern that China is becoming increasingly entangled with Russia's war economy. Moreover, as noted by the Financial Times, EU officials now view China less as a strategic partner and more as a systemic rival, a designation that may reshape the future of trade, tech cooperation, and foreign policy. With no major agreements announced, the summit marked a transition from engagement to managed friction, underscoring that the age of naive optimism in EU-China relations is giving way to a new phase of cautious recalibration and defensive posture.